I want to bring in Ajith because Ajith tracks aviation very closely. Ajith, the point that Mark was making, the fact that we need to create this kind of, we focus on the pilots and the simulators and the cockpit, all of that, but we neglect this thing of training cabin crew to evacuate, passengers. And the 90-second rule that we were talking of.
Right.
How important is this to learn from this and quickly create these kind of simulators to create all those conditions that you mentioned?
Of course, and coming to this particular accident, I think one thing that should be talked about is the Japanese obsession to safety. Right?
Yes.
So not just the airline, and I'm not just talking about airline and training here, the common people there, they are obsessed when it comes to safety. They follow rules.
Yeah.
You have to understand one thing that, there were only 12 cabin crews here.
Yeah.
For them to evacuate over 350 people, it has happened only and only because the people there also understand the rules of
they didn't stop to collect their luggage.
Correct. And they did not stop to collect their hand baggage and run off the plane.
Yeah.
That's important. But when it comes to the training part, what was being mentioned by Martin, I think aviation as an industry, if you were to look at it purely from a point of view of being a transport service, right? Yeah. It is the safest. Right. And it is the safest because there is a whole lot of focus on safety, because when we are flying at 36,000 feet, lot of rules have been set into place, and I think it would be not right, in my opinion, to say that Indian safety standards are way far below than the global standards. Of course, we need to do some bit of catching up. Right. But it's not that our cabin crew is not well trained. Right. And the fact of the matter is that when we are in an aircraft and when we are about to land, I think the cabin crew there is not there to serve you drinks, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
They have been trained, and their primary objective there
is to be safety of the passengers.
Yeah, and I don't think so that they can board an aircraft without having been trained adequately. So my view is that it's not that Indian airlines are like kind of ignoring it.
Right. I would ask this question to Mr. Bhargav, but first, Justin, you've been covering aviation as well, and the spate of near misses and accidents that we've seen in the last couple of years. We asked these questions about whether Indian skies are safe or not, but this is one of those positive examples that we can learn from. What do you think what are the lessons that we need to draw from this?
See, a couple of lessons that are straightforward. One is obviously there's the first issue that comes up is the communication. Was a communication failure? Because the latest reports claim that the JAL aircraft was given the authorization to land. That's what they're saying right now. Yeah. So the question arises, obviously, how come there was a second aircraft there? Right. That's lesson number one. Second is obviously the one that we've been harping on. Safety is one area which is always evolving, changing, situations changing. You are got to come up with those industry standards that has to be matched up. Yeah. And the aviation being such a body which is crucial, which affects everyone. So like for example, this crash, Airbus sent a team to Japan to check on what happened, what is the condition of their plane. So the safety is part of this. Thirdly, obviously, the kind of aircraft that we are getting right now. So these are made of composites right now. Earlier it wasn't so. Now the ratio of composites in the newest aircrafts are more. So now they are trying to see that can it withstand this high level heat of fire. By currently what we have seen is that it hasn't, because the airlines, the crew was able to take out all those passengers out, even though in short time, but they managed to. So the question is again so there are a lot of tests that are going to happen next on those, we are going to learn a lot from those reports. Right. And that's in a way good for the industry itself, because this is a one major fire case that has happened where a very new aircraft has been involved in. Right. So there are quite a few lessons ahead for the industry. A few lessons to learn,
indeed. Mr. Bhargav, I was just looking at this Saudi Flight 163 incident in 1980. If you remember, there were 301 passengers that died. They landed safely, the plane caught fire, and the pilot delayed in ordering the evacuation, and all those passengers, they died of smoke inhalation. And here, nearly 40 years, more than 40 years later, you have a case of all the passengers, being safely evacuated. Is it becoming safer to fly now with the passage of time and, lessons like this being learned?
Yes, the airline industry is becoming safer and safer. What happens is that every time a mishap takes place, there is a study undertaken not only by the airline concerned, but even by the aircraft manufacturer. And this is what leads to improvements on what kind of material is to be used, what kind of training is to be given. Like, for example, Ajith made a mention of it. There's a refresher course. It is not a one-time training when a cabin crew is recruited. Every 6 months, they have to undergo refresher course for safety, with including how to come out of the chute and when to open it. All those kind of things are familiar. Then there are exercises even conducted by DEC observers who come on the aircraft to check with cabin crew as to whether they know where the oxygen kept, how will you open the emergency door. And if you recall, when you are on an aircraft, an air hostess comes near the emergency door and checks with the passenger also if he's secure, safe, he is healthy enough to open the emergency door, etc. So, these are regulations that have been in place for a long time, and they are not taken for granted. They are, cabin crews refreshed, the announcement is made. Of course, as one person very rightly said, passengers' attitude matters most. In India, when there's an emergency, the first thing is to pick up your hand baggage from the overhead cabin and try and escape, which shouldn't be done. And I'm sure in the Japan Airline case, discipline was very much there with the passengers, and that's why within the limited time frame they could evacuate everyone.
Discipline
but this
really
will again
important.
become a lesson for the airline industry, how to go about it. And if they found any lacuna kind of a thing, the one more point that I would like to make is the crew complement that's on a flight. Somebody very rightly said they are essentially for safety. So the passenger's attitude, we want young cabin crew on board. Well, you must have more experienced cabin crew on board for your own safety and security.
News 9 Plus. Download now.